I mean, I hit the target.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bullseye channel. I hope you're doing well. Today is video 2, numero dos, of the MHS Reimagined series. A long-term series where we take a 10-year look at the MHS program and think, what if? What if? The last video was me making some bold predictions. This video is going to be talking about how I envision the structure of the series going over the long term. And then the next one is the one you're really going to want to see, which is where we unveil the brace of pistols that we are going to use in this. So very, very exciting. Please link and subscribe. There will be a playlist for this so that you can follow along. You can bookmark it or whatever you do. This is no sponsors, no Patreon. There's no paying me to do this, right? I'm buying all these with my own money just because I have a personal interest in it. The only thing I'm asking, our relationship. I don't want anything from you other than your attention, obviously, because you're watching this, and maybe your engagement in the comments and all the likes and whatnot. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Before I get into the MHS thing, got our script right here. There has been a little bit of, I guess, speculation on some of the cool forums out there that discuss pistols and are following the SIG P320 nonsense about like what I know and who I am and do I have like an inside track. And I will address all of that at the tail end of this video because it's a little bit long and not germane to the subject. But for you, I will establish my, bona fides as they were, and you can describe if that's worthy of you listening to and worthy of your time. But don't skip ahead, right? We're going to get right into it. So, what is the MHS Reimagined series? Well, it's exactly what it says. It's a long-term series dedicated to this group of pistols that we're choosing that are related to maybe like 2025 versions of the MHS pistols that were submitted in the 2015 competition to select the military's next service pistol. The idea here is with 10-year perspective to sort of say, do we think they made the right decision? Do we wish that they made another decision? And what does the experience of shooting these next to each other tell? Because if I go out on YouTube, I see a lot of videos of, this model versus this model and that one versus this one. And they're not totally related and there's nothing really comprehensive. And I thought, boy, this would be a fun thing to do, to maybe get, a small selection of these, put some round counts on them, run some tests, do some quals, all that kind of stuff. So that's what you're in for. That's what MHS Revisited. The way that I would think about it is, imagine multiple universes. This is going to get cool. Imagine multiple universes. We obviously are living through this universe right now, and it's clear. We're living through this experience right now, where they selected for the grand old price of just under $300, the SIG M18, M17. This one's obviously topped with a dot. And things aren't exactly going the way maybe we had hoped, the public had hoped, and it has other people sort of going, well, let's pretend that there was an alternate universe, maybe a couple of them, where they went a different direction. Maybe they chose, we'll just use for the example of this video, because I'm not going to reveal the videos yet, or the firearms yet. Let's say they chose the Glock 19X, right? That seems to be the one that everybody's talking about. I think we're going to get at 3 questions. The first question is, after we go through this process, do we think that they chose the right path, right? Or correct, right? Do we think that they chose the correct path? The second question is, if you could go to one of those alternate universes, and maybe not, maybe you want to stay in the M18, M17 universe. Maybe you want to go to one of the other universes. Knowing what we know after the MHS Reimagined series, which one would you want to go to? And then the other question is, or which one do we think we should go to? And then the last question is subjective to myself, which is if and let's say the year 2026 or whatever I said it was in the prediction video, went to my unit's armory and I pulled out, which one would I want? Which one would I want? That's kind of what we're getting at here with MHS Reimagined. So I hope that you're along for the ride because it's going to be a really good time. So those are the 3 questions. This is meant to be fun, right? Guns are fun. It's meant to be fun. It's not meant to be super serious. It's just meant to enjoyment. You're watching this for entertainment. I'm doing this for entertainment and a little bit of curiosity. I envision this happening in 3 parts, okay? So I envision, so that very quickly after this video, you're gonna get the what are the pistols video, right? So if you're watching this after the fact, You know, it's not that in between time. Check out the playlist, it'll be there. So the next video is going to be what are they, right? And then very quickly after that, we are going to start just getting to know them, right? I already know this one, right, pretty well, but we'll, you know, we'll keep it around, as is the military, for now. Maybe, we don't know. I only know what I know. I don't know anything. We're gonna get to know you, right? And so I do range day ride-alongs where I have like sort of like an over voice of some of my shooting sessions. We'll do some of that. We'll do featurettes on each one of them, going over the features and kind of the things that surprise me. And then we'll start getting some of the round counts up. I think each sample that they had in MHS went to around 16,000 rounds. And I think over the course of a year, like I might be able to do that. That might be actually quite challenging. Maybe 2 years. I don't know what it is. We'll just figure it out. I'm gonna get the round count to where I can get it. And understand that like we're doing this, this whole thing is meant to be, you know, an honest evaluation, right? Just an honest evaluation given the constraints of a hobbyist's resources and schedule, right? We're doing what they should have done, and by they I mean the Army, but we're doing it for fun and for ourselves. So that's the first part, right? And that's like going to take like maybe 3 months, right? Oh, did you hear that? That was lovely. And then I think what would be fun would be to start running some of the services quals, right? I've got some other, you know, quals that I like to run, but, you know, we can run the Marine Corps CPP, you know, Navy, whatever that, and Navy does, Army, Air Force, assuming I can get the targetry and we can make it sort of digestible for YouTube, we can run it through some of the different quals and really have fun with each of them and see, you know, how they do on the quals. Like if I had the experience of being, you know, a soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, Guardian, et cetera and so forth, you know, what would my qual be like, right? And then I think probably we're gonna find ourselves, well, I'm gonna have to take a step away from YouTube for, you know, a few months. Happens frequently on this channel. You know, sometimes you gotta step away and take care of what needs taken care of. But then I think after that we'll have a conversation. We'll have 2 conversations. The first is, what tests do you want to see? Understanding that these are not samples, these are mine, right? What tests do you want to see on them? Because I think other than heat, they did not do any testing on these MHS pistols. Do you want to see mud? Do you want to see drop? You know, I don't really want to drop them, but we'll talk about it. It'll be conversation, right? Engagement. And then the testing. And then the other thing that we'll talk around the 6-month mark is what other pistol. We'll give a vote, right? What other pistol? We'll set some criteria in my mind. It's like, okay, maybe it has to be something that's like inspired by an MHS pistol, or it has to be a you know, cutoff date, the day the Marine Corps adopted the M18, right? We'll just choose Marine Corps because that's where my heart is. Or maybe you want to see something new. Maybe you want to see P10C. Maybe you want to see, you know, whatever new hotness, PDP, all the stuff that's out there. The only criteria that I will have, and it's totally arbitrary, is that it has to be peanut butter, right? So hopefully they make a peanut butter version, or we can make a peanut butter version. I know that has no bearing on anything at all, but there's just something about that 2015 era that is like very peanut butter, FDE, like everything's Coyote Brown, everything's FDE, just in time to go back to the jungle, or get ready to go back to the jungle, or focus on the return to the Pacific, or whatever. So we'll do that, and then so I think that's going to be fun, right? If you already got an idea, like you know, what you'd like to see, go ahead and leave it in the comments. But that is the MHS. That's the direction I'm going. I don't have it fully fleshed out. I rely on some of your input and your advice. But that's what I think, you know, we're going to do. So hopefully you're down for that. You know, we can do this together. I'd be curious if another channel has done this. Let me know, so that I can you know, save a little bit of time, right, and maybe go in a different direction. All right, let's get to you know, the whole sort of thing. I have no inside track. I have no availability, right? I'm doing this out of pure passion. And I'm getting ready to talk a little bit about myself. And I think anytime that you do on the internet, that can get weird, right? This is not a barrel measuring contest. After all, we know that it's the diameter caliber. It's not the length of the barrel. I might cut that out. But I think that there are a couple things, the reasons why I want to do this, and reasons why I would put it out, like, you know, for public consumption. So the first is that I just have a personal and professional interest in this, right? Like, there's something really compelling to me about the idea that you have to pick a piece of equipment, as iconic as a handgun for many, many, many people, and you have to field it. And so there's personal concerns, there's equipment concerns, there's cost concerns, there's supply chain issues. There's just like a whole gamut of things that are like you have to consider, and how do you rely on that, especially knowing that whatever you choose is going to have some sort of historic significance, right? I mean, think about the lore, in the space that the M9 has. It wasn't always that way, but the M9, and then obviously the 1911, and now, what is the reputation of the M17 and M18? Like, that's something to consider. The second one, and this is a super low bar, but it's a bar nonetheless, is that you have to have a YouTube channel, and I have a YouTube channel. I have a small little corner of YouTube where we discuss bullseye shooting, which is obviously service pistol is my thing. Service pistol, one-handed competition is my thing, and that has a very clear relationship to military service pistols. So there's that nexus, and it also means too that you kind of know where my biases are. You know where I'm coming from, especially if you follow the last channel, and you sort of seen how I've evolved over time in terms of my opinion. And the last one, and this is one I was thinking of, is that my experience, my professional experience, so my military experience in terms of marksmanship and ranges is both broad, meaning that I've spent a lot of time with, I was, I think, in a reserve capacity for combat marksmanship coach. I was the OIC. I was involved in many of them, and I think I was OIC for a couple of them. So I've seen, young Marines, or in some cases not so young Marines, that come into the courses having never shot something, being handed a piece of equipment and having to deal with that. And I've seen that with the M9, I've seen that with the M18, I've seen the results in the questions, what takes time to teach, things like that. And the numbers are in the hundreds, which is not as many as other people, but it's a number nonetheless. But then also, having sort of in joint capacity, I've participated in unit quals with individuals that don't come from a service like the Marine Corps with a really, really strong martial spirit, right? Their focus is on other things. And so I've seen Air Force individuals qualify M9s and M18s, Air Force, Navy, Space Force. So in that sense, it's broad. But then in terms of quality, also having been on a military shooting team, I've had the experience of seeing people who literally just, they know what a pistol is, but now they're holding one for the first time, go out and have to employ it and learn it. And then in a joint capacity, seeing all the military service teams, I've seen the military's best top shooters, right? The Army, and then not to say nothing of the exposure that I've had to civilians that shoot very, very, very well. And so that's given me, if we were to matrix that, right, my area of both, service specific to joint, and then newcomer to expert. And when I say expert, I don't mean expert qualification, but like the top of the top, is broad, right? So there's a broad area, and then I have an acceptable level of proficiency personally. So if we're talking about performance, I'm not the best shooter on YouTube, certainly not the worst. I'd like to think that I fall, especially in my discipline, right, which is not what you typically see on YouTube. I feel like I have a fair amount of proficiency. So, distinguished revolver, now distinguished 22. I have 42. Figure that out. I have 42. You only need 30. I have 42 points towards distinguished pistol. I have expert classification, 2700 outdoor precision pistol. Expert classification, I think expert classification in Olympic air pistol, governed by the CMP. I've competed in Olympic air pistol. I've competed in 25 meter rapid pistol. Obviously competed in service pistol. Whatever the other ones are. And being an expert in your classification is not the same as being an expert in the military, which I also am, along with pretty much everyone else, right, who takes time to receive the information and perform the task. So that's all there, and it's out there. So I think those things combined make this a good place to maybe go down this path. You can agree or disagree. Again, it's not a barrel measuring contest. It just is what it is. So hopefully you'll stick around and you find that credible. If not, fair winds and following seas, and maybe you'll find something else that we do on this channel that interests you. So that is the MHS video. Again, the next video is going to be the reveal. You get to see the the cadre of pistols that are out there. Word drives me nuts. So, before I close, I will leave you with 3 rules for life. Rule 1, don't be a jerk. Rule 2, take care of yourself. Rule 3, help other people. And as always, know that you don't know what's going on in someone else's mind. They don't know what's going on in your mind, so be kind and courteous when dealing with other people. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Hold hard, shoot straight. I mean, I hit the target.